Arthritic pain is another common misconception that people don't realize that this is really important for cats too. Like I feel a lot of dog owners start to realize, okay, we're limping, like there's probably something going on there. They might kind of do like that little stutter step and then jump up, sign of arthritis.
Oh, you just broke my heart. Oh,
Yeah.
I've been making fun of Vixie for so long.
Sometimes it's...
Before we get started with our episode, we're going to hear from our sponsor. The absolute scariest part about starting a big project, whether it be a podcast or a business, is doing it all completely on your own. Listen, if I had a tool like Shopify when I was just getting started, that would have been a game changer. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the United States. With Shopify, you can do so many things, like you can get started in your own design studio with hundreds of ready-to-use templates, accelerate your content creation with helpful AI tools that will write your own product descriptions, write page headlines, and even enhance your product photography. Turn your business into... with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/Rebecca. Go to shopify.com/Rebecca. Shopify.com/Rebecca. Now let's get started with this week's episode.
How do people like refer to you on your channels?
Most people say Dr. Bozelka.
Okay.
If you want to say Frank, that's fine. Dr.
Okay.
Bozelka is like how you phonetically say it.
Dr. Bozelka.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I love last names that have Z's in them.
Yeah.
I just do so much.
It's Polish, so there's a lot of Z's.
Polish.
There's a lot of Z's in the Polak
We
names.
love that. We love that very much.
Z's and skis, very common.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I'm also
Yeah.
Polish. Yeah.
Good.
Blaustein, is that what it was? Mom? Yeah, the Blaustein.
That's a pretty Polish name. That's a very Polish name.
Yeah, on my dad's mother's side.
Mm.
So people also just call you Frank.
Yes. And at work, everybody just says the last name. So they don't even say doctor. They just say Bozelka. When I was an intern, somebody made the mistake of paging bro overhead. So a lot of them call me bro still to this day. So it's either that or Frank is absolutely okay.
Paging Dr. Bro. I
That
love
was,
that.
That was it.
So
and then
much.
before they hung up the phone for the page, you could just hear everybody laughing in the background for it. And
I
it
love
was
that
just,
so
to this
much.
day, it's still one of my favorite memories of my internship.
That is so funny.
That was it.
So you are like a full-on veterinarian.
Full-on veterinarian.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
So when did you decide you wanted to become a veterinarian? And then what does like the process of going into that field look like?
So most of us, we kind of decide we want to be a veterinarian at a very young age. We find, okay, we love animals. And then as we grow up, like that love deepens. And then something happens. We're like, all right, we love animals more than we love people. And then eventually...
Is that not the normal thing?
No.
Apparently
it's not.
okay.
Apparently it's
I
not.
thought that was everybody.
There's like a handful of animals that I've met in my life that I don't like, and then there's a handful of people in my life that I actually do like. And like that's
Facts.
the usual like path to becoming a veterinarian.
Okay.
And then eventually you get into school and you realize I really like science, I'm a nerd, and then you kind of have this brilliant idea to say, let's merge the two ideas, and then all heck breaks loose from that point forward. The process of becoming a vet, the actual process is really just getting into undergrad, 4 years of undergrad to get all your prereqs done, and then you go to vet school, which is just like med school. So it's a grad program designed specifically to do veterinary medicine, but there's a lot of groundwork that you have to do before you even get there. So most of us, like at a very young age, I think when I was like 10, I was volunteering at like an animal shelter and things like that, stuff that you could put on the resume. That wasn't the intention of it. I just wanted to work with animals.
Right.
And then when you get into high school, then you really have to gear towards, okay, what undergrads am I going to go into? You got to start getting experience at a vet hospital. You got to start volunteering and things like that. And then nowadays, it's becoming so competitive that you have to start diversifying in what you want to do. So I knew I wanted to come out just doing dogs and cats, but nowadays, if you want to do that, you still have to get horse experience and you still have to get a lot of cow experience because we have to, in theory, know all of that information. So they need all that when we like apply for vet school. So it's kind of like just applying for undergrad and then applying for grad school, but you have to kind of sacrifice like 10 years before you even get to that point to like gear yourself.
You need to start early. Wow. So in undergrad, what should people major in if they're looking to go into veterinary medicine?
I don't think there's a particular thing that you have to major in. As long as you get the prereqs that you need to get into vet school, it doesn't
Okay.
really matter what your major was. So I had an actual, where I went, there was a pre-vet major and then a minor in chemistry, but some people just go in and they major in biology, or they major in, there's a couple of them that majored in pre-med or like a chemistry. But as long as you're getting the prereqs, it doesn't really matter what your technical major is.
Mhm.
And then as long as you meet like the application requirements.
I heard something that tends to be a controversial statement.
Mhm.
Um,
There's a lot of them in our
I
profession.
hear that getting into vet school is more difficult than getting into med school.
Yes, and the reason for that is there's like 6,000 different med schools in the
Mhm.
country, so they're like it's a buffet of like they have so many seats. In vet schools, there's only a handful of them. Like I think
Really?
when I was in vet school, there was 27 of them. I think now there's 34 of them. So there's not a lot of them to get into. So when you're applying for it, there's very limited seats. They used to restrict the class sizes to like 80 students. So
Wow.
there's not a lot of seats in there. So it's much more competitive in that regards.
Okay, okay.
From like a we're better than human standpoint, that's not the case at all. It's just there's not a lot of seats to get into. So it's like a highly competitive thing
Okay, that makes sense.
versus like I think everybody there's so many different med schools out there too. It's just like you got like thousands of seats you can apply for as opposed to just a couple hundred.
I guess I never thought about it like that because we have a really good med
Mhm.
school right where I live. It's NC State Veterinary med school. It's actually where one of my cats has to go to the it's not the oncologist, it's the optometrist, I
The
think.
eye doctor?
Yeah, the
Mhm.
cat eye doctor.
Yep. We took our cats to an eye doctor too. So we've absolutely done that.
Well, I have to go every 3 to 4 months. He has melanosis in one of his eyes,
Mhm.
not melanoma
Yes,
yet.
not the scary one.
But we're making so for those that don't know, I have 2 cats
Mm.
and they are my babies. I birthed them, obviously.
Obviously,
They are, yes.
they look identical. It's striking. I
Exactly.
saw the pictures.
They-
It's like
they're-
it's spitting image of
Right.
one
Whenever
another.
they act up, I'm like, you are my
Yep.
children. This
That's mom.
makes
That's mom
sense.
right there.
But one of Milo, one of his eyes started changing colors.
Mhm.
He started getting this brownish, reddish pigment in his eye, and it freaked me out. Is an understatement.
Panicked.
Oh my
Dr.
God.
Google, my cat's gonna
Actually,
die. We're gonna lose the eye. My
literally.
life's gonna crumble every time.
And so obviously we took him to the vet, and they were like, "Hey, you're gonna need to see a specialist, but there's a really long waiting list."
Mhm.
Luckily, my brother's ex-girlfriend's dad works there, and they ended on good terms. This was like
cousins twice
yeah,
removed, friends
yeah.
from- yeah.
Well, they ended on like really good terms, and like
Mhm.
they still talk and stuff. This was like a very old girlfriend from like high school. And so I just kind of texted him and I was like, "Hey,
Can you sneak in?
I know this isn't your department, but this is my child.
I'm
Please help
panicking
me
right now. I
Please."
need a Xanax right now.
Right.
I'm seeing a psychiatrist for this. Just
Like,
squeeze me in there.
He was like, "Yeah, no problem." So now Milo is in, and he's a patient.
Good.
And we have to go and get him to get X-rays. Like it was 6 months, and now it's 4 months because the eye's changing more, and it just stresses me out.
Freak out
I'm
moment.
like, ah. She's like, "Hey, we're gonna do 4 months instead of 6," and I'm like,
why?
why?
Is there a
Why?
reason for that? Like,
And
should I be panicking?
They're
Because
like,
I
"No,
am.
not panicked yet because everything still looks healthy, but there is more changes, so we just want to make sure it stays that way."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Okay.
okay,
Okay.
that's fine.
You
I'm not worried.
Do you guys
It's
have a bar in
everything's-
this lobby by chance?
everything's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna cry at all.
yeah.
It's fine.
And then you went home and cried.
Oh, absolutely. I got in the
absolutely.
car and cried.
Yep. Every time, without fail, every time.
Well, I talked to another family friend of ours, used to be a vet. Like, he's a vet and a software developer. He's very talented. And he's like, "No, this is actually, like, a really routine procedure. Like, it happens. The recovery is pretty simple." Like, and I'm like, okay, that makes me feel better. And I, like, make pirate cat jokes
You
to
have
make
to.
myself, like, not
have to.
sob.
Yeah. I like that because every time, whenever I have to like take an eyeball out for one reason or another, a lot of people like it's a shock right off the bat. Like, I got to lose the eyeball, and then I always hit them with like, yeah, but their Halloween costumes from this point forward are going to be awesome, and it just the relaxation that they get after just hearing something like
Yeah,
that. Like the
yeah.
pirate, even we do that too.
So is that, like, really normal for, like, a pet to have to lose an eye? Like, maybe not normal as in, like, it happens all the
Yeah,
time, but, like, it's like a...
it's more of a routine procedure.
Okay,
Like if it
okay.
needs to happen, like if they have glaucoma that can't be controlled and the pressures are just out of nowhere, or if they get like trauma, like they run into a wall or not a wall because that's pretty flat, like a table or something like that, and they rupture their eye and the eye has to come out. It is a pretty straightforward procedure. It doesn't always require a specialist. Like
Okay.
I'm not a specialist, but I can do that very easily.
Okay.
A primary care veterinarian, like your family vet, can do that. So it is a pretty common procedure for us to do. And in terms of like the grand scheme of surgical things, it's not one of the most complicated things. It's just a
Okay.
little bit tricky because the eye tends to bleed a lot more. So a lot of people are a little bit shy about that, but it's a pretty straightforward procedure for
And like
us.
recovery is usually like pretty normal.
N-
Oh.
Yes and no. The recovery is normal, but right after the eye comes out, it looks like somebody hit the pet in the eye with a baseball bat because the
Oh.
swelling is just so intense, and it's just normally what happens. But eventually the swelling goes down, and then eventually they just look like a pirate.
Oh, my
It's
poor
really,
baby.
it's really cute if it happens. Hopefully it doesn't happen,
Yeah,
but
no,
if it
he's-
does,
he just has weird DNA. It's
Yeah.
not gonna.
It's not-
Fine.
it's just-
He's
yeah.
just like a kaleidoscope eye.
Yep,
Everything's
it's
fine.
perfectly normal. Kaleidoscope eye is a very easy
Yeah,
diagnosis for us to make.
He just wants to like be different.
Yeah.
That's fine.
You got to stand out in this day and age.
Exactly.
It's all part of the process.
hunchback he has is not enough. That's my special boy.
That's mommy's special attention guy.
Yeah, it's totally
Every
fine.
family has
Oh,
one.
and it's fine. There's
Every
nothing
family
wrong.
has one.
But what are some misconceptions that people tend to have about whether it's your job or
Mhm.
pet care in general? I already have thought of some that like I've recently learned in my
Mhm.
life, but you're the professional. I want to hear
Yeah.
from you.
So I think one of the biggest ones we kind of already touched about is the schooling. A lot of people don't realize that we are legitimate doctors.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
we go through the same schooling that a human doctor goes through. It's the 4 years of undergrad, and then it is the 4 years of grad school. We are a little bit different in terms of like human doctors, like when we come out. So like your veterinarian, like after your 8 years of college, you have your license, assuming you passed your boards, and you're good to go. From that point forward, you can just go out and practice. Human medicine, most of them then have to do residencies and fellowships, and they have to like specialize, a lot of them like in internal medicine, and then they go out and they practice because it's just like such a competitive thing. But one of the very common misconceptions is that we are just not like legitimate
Not
doctors,
That's
but
crazy.
it's the exact same schooling, and it shocks a lot of people when they actually figure that out, that okay, well, wow, that's insane.
This might be a hot take,
Mm.
but I feel like the people who have such a hard time like understanding that
Mhm.
are the same kinds of people that maybe shouldn't own pets. Like they don't really see like, well, what's the big deal? It's a dog. It's a
Mhm.
cat. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those types of people.
I'm kind of in between on that take
Okay.
because like I always say I think everybody, well, I shouldn't say that because I've seen some really bad stuff, so not everybody deserves to have a pet.
Correct.
But I think for the average population, most people deserve to have that happiness in their
Oh,
life.
yes.
But and everybody has difference of opinions, and that's where becoming a vet becomes a little bit tricky. Is you have pet owners like you that you're seeing a specialist for your dog's eye, and then there's people who won't do that. But it doesn't necessarily mean they don't love their pet any less than you. It just means they have a difference of opinion in what a dog actually is. Like you get farmers, like they love their dogs like crazy, but it's the farm dog. Like they're not gonna a lot of times go see the specialist and pay all that exuberant money just to like see them and travel to like out of nowhere and go to the university and things like that and all the travel expenses. They're not going to do that.
Not
a lot
everyone
of times.
can do that.
Right. Not everyone can, and not everybody wants to. Even if they have the means to do it, they may not want to do that because to them it's just a dog and they're in our lives for a short period of time and then it's done. But that doesn't take away the fact that they still love that dog. So I do agree that there are some people that I'm like, the people that kind of have certain opinions. I'm like, yeah, I kind of wish you just didn't have a dog. That way we didn't have to like be in this situation that we're in right now. I do kind of agree with that. And then sometimes I don't in that regard.
Okay, that makes sense. I
Mhm.
learned recently that dogs can live off cat food, but
Mhm.
cats can't live off dog food because
Mhm.
the kinds of nutrients and things like that
Mhm.
cats need is just so vastly different and like specific than what like a dog needs to
Yes.
survive.
Yes.
That's so crazy.
The two big things from like a dog food to a cat food that's different, cats really need taurine, which is an essential amino acid for them that's not for dogs. In the 70s and 80s, they were finding a lot of issues with like health issues with cats, and they eventually found out that common cat foods at that point did not have any taurine in it. So at that point, they had to start supplementing that. So all commercially available cat foods have that put in it. Some dog foods don't have enough levels of that in there. Cats also require a little bit more protein in their diet because they're obligate carnivores, so they eat more protein naturally than a dog will, and a lot of dog foods don't have enough protein in it. So there is a little bit bit of a difference there. And then just like in kids, like human kids, like for different life stages, there's different nutritional requirements and things like that.
We're going to take a quick break and hear from our sponsor. The absolute scariest part about starting a big project, whether it be a podcast or a business, is doing it all completely on your own. It's so daunting and intimidating. Like, where do I start? Listen, if I had a tool like Shopify when I was just getting started, that would have been a game changer. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the United States. With Shopify, you can do so many things, like you can get started in your own design studio with hundreds of ready-to-use templates, accelerate your content creation with helpful AI tools that will write your own product descriptions, write page headlines, and even enhance your product photography. And you can get the word out like you have your own marketing team behind you. And best of yet, Shopify is your commerce expert with world-class expertise from everything from managing inventory, processing returns, and so much more. If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your business into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/Rebecca. Go to shopify.com/Rebecca. Shopify.com/Rebecca. Now, back to the episode.
Same thing happens for cats and dogs. There's different nutritional requirements based on like kittens, teens, like adults, geriatrics, and things like that. So it does fluctuate quite extensively depending on what stage we're in, dog versus cat. And when it comes to dog and cat food, I tend to find that if your dog's not eating that much, giving them cat food is something that like spike their appetite because it's like the forbidden fruit and it's really stinky. But yeah, it's perfectly fine for a dog to eat cat food. The other way around, not so much all the time.
That's so interesting. I feel like in general, the knowledge that we've had about cats has only recently diversed as much as it has. Like, I feel like in the last 10 years, what we found out about cats and how to properly care for them is so different.
Yes.
Which is crazy. Because I remember even just 10 years ago, like people didn't realize how bad declawing your cats was.
Yes.
Which is, and like most vets will not do that anymore.
Yes,
correct?
and in some states they're making it illegal to declaw your cats, which very much I'm in support of, because essentially what you're doing is you're like, if you see your finger bending in 3 different spots, you're just taking this last one off, which is what a declaw is, and it's like I would not feel comfortable with that. But the hard thing about like the evolution of veterinary medicine is we kind of started, like there wasn't a lot of research in animals and animal health way back in like the 40s and 50s because nobody really cared. So as we've kind of progressed, we are still finding out more and more and more. The hard thing is in humans, when they do like a study for humans, like they can get thousands of people involved in it, but like animal studies, we're lucky if we get like 100, maybe 200 animals involved to it, because the owners have to consent to it. We have to have follow-up and things like that. So our evolution is just, it's a continual evolution of learning things. There was a point in time where we did not think that animals felt fear at all. And then a very famous person, Temple Grandin, she actually did a lot of research and a lot of work in dairy cattle to prove that they do feel fear. And she changed the cattle industry in terms of how they actually design pens and things like that for them, proving that they feel fear. And that kind of sparked like the fear-free movement in veterinary medicine, where like you have Dr. No Shots for babies. We're like, okay, I'm just the doctor that does all the fun things and tickles them, and then there's another doctor that does a shot, or they do fear-free to like distract the baby while they're giving the shot. We took a lot of those adaptations and started doing them with animals because we are starting to learn things like that. Like, it's really silly to think that back in the 70s, we didn't think animals felt fear, like back in the 60s. But now it's like, it's so obvious because you look at your cat and the thunder hits and you're like, that is very clearly fear. Like, how did we not know that like 30, 40, 50 years ago?
Crazy.
So it is crazy how we do, like everything is still evolving for us.
Yeah, and even just for general public to be aware of it. Like, for example, you know, I feel like it's a very general concession that, oh, cats are so much easier to take care of. You just put in some dry food and you leave them alone and they kind of do their own thing. But I never knew how actually detrimental to their health that was, because and this is all stuff that I just learned because I had, my other cat had a little ER scare not that long ago. Because she she loves her hard food so
Yeah.
much.
It's hard
She
to get them off of
loves
it.
She loves it
Yes.
so much.
We-
Milo, he would rather starve
We
than
call them
eat hard
crunchy
food.
cats.
She's
Yeah.
so crunchy. She's my
Yeah.
my 16-pound girly.
I got a 24-pound behemoth at home.
Yes, you get
He-
it.
Yes.
You get it.
Yes, we're working on trimming it. We just adopted him a couple months ago, and he came weighing in at 24. So we're in the process of weaning him down.
In the last few weeks she's lost a pound.
That's
we're working
good.
on it. But so I didn't know that 90% of the hydration that cats get each day is from their food.
Mhm.
So she's basically been so dehydrated her whole life. And like obviously I have the cat water fountains and I thought that was enough, but it just hasn't been. So when she had a little ER scare a couple weeks ago, she ended up pulling a muscle in her back leg and she was in so much pain, and I obviously rushed her to the clinic.
Panicking, trying not to crash on the way there.
I literally
Yeah.
that's like,
Wiping the tears from your eyes
I had
and
my
blowing all
mom
the red
drive
lights.
because
Okay,
I had her come and I was
okay.
like, I don't know what's happening. She's in so much pain. I have to take her
Yeah.
in. And my mom was like, oh, I think she's fine. I'm like, no,
She's not.
I
She's
know
not.
my girl. She's in. We gotta take her in.
Yeah.
But one of her kidneys died.
Mhm.
Because apparently that's apparently very common
Very
with
common.
cats that are just on dry food, and it's fine because she has the other one. And Vixie likes to play in water, and so
But not drink it.
yes, well, so she'll drink it sometimes, but like she loves to play in it. So
Splash
I'll
it
like
and-
turn the little bathtub faucet on very low. And apparently, because she's been getting so much extra hydration from that, her other kidney is just phenomenally healthy, like doing so well. And they're like, no, this is fine. Like she can function completely normally. Just keep doing that. But, obviously now I've switched her to like, hey, we're
Trying to push the
we're
kid.
just doing the soft food
Yeah.
now. And every day she goes to where her hard food was and she looks at me and she's like, Mom,
I don't like this.
please.
Yeah. Just I want sometimes just take the kibble and mix it in, and then slowly wean them off that way, and then you just all right, less and less.
Well, every
and
day I
less.
do like a little handful, and I have very tiny hands, so like a little handful of diet hard food,
Yeah.
and like she likes to be pet while she eats. Like
Fair. She's a prima donna. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Mom had nothing to do with that. She was born
She's
that
just-
way.
Well, it's because I did birth her. She is just like
Obviously,
me.
obviously. Yes.
But I just had no idea that, the general public genuinely is aware. You just leave them some hard food a little bit and it's fine, but that's actually so detrimental to their health. And that's when I originally was like, oh, maybe I should make her food. And that's when my friend Nathan was like, I wouldn't do that for cats, like, because my mom used to make her dog food because he was allergic to chicken, and that's where I got the idea. I said maybe if I find a way to incorporate the hard food she likes and enough hydration and the soft food, and he was like, don't even try it. You can't do it for cats the same way as dogs. And so that's when I started learning about, the 90% of hydration cats get is from food, and if they are too dehydrated for too long, like their kidney will die, and they can still be fine, but it's just so important. And these are all things that I had no idea. And like, I'm a crazy cat lady. I'm insane. And I didn't know any of these things.
And I mean, it's not your job to know those things, it's you're not an animal. So and people, like when you have a kid, it's a little bit more, you're like, all right, I know what I need as a person. This is just a tiny version of it. Like I kind of roughly get it.
Yeah.
But and cats especially, they're aliens on this planet. They don't read textbooks. Everything is different about them, but there are common things. I do feel like a lot of people, because of social media and things like that, they are starting, a lot more people know, okay, kibble is not the best thing for cats. We prefer cans of food or food that has high moisture. So a lot of people are now starting to realize that, but simple things like that are like, I still get a lot of people that get a cat thinking it's just going to be, I'm going to lay on the couch for like 12 hours a day, but it's like, no, this thing's going to be darting up and around the cat tree, and they're going to want to play. You're going to have to entertain them. You're going to have to have toys for them. And people don't understand that. And a little bit of research goes a long way. And I always tell people that if you're going to get an animal, no matter the breed, anything, just research it a little bit so you know what you're up against. And then if you, just to kind of go back, if you did want to actually make a diet for your cat, you can do that. But I would always have you do like we have nutritional specialists in animal medicine. If you consult with one of them, they can walk you through how to like design a diet that's like appropriate for them.
I told you I'm insane.
Yes, there's a long waiting line for it because like there's not a lot of nutritionists out there, but that is a specialty in our field. If you're like, I don't want to do the commercially available stuff, I would cook for my pet. It's time consuming, it is a little bit more expensive, and if you have the means to do that, it's a great idea for them because you're incorporating more real ingredients. Usually there's more moisture content in that,
Okay.
and as long as it's balanced, it doesn't matter if it's like real food or not, but the balancing is the tricky part, and that's where the nutritionist comes into play.
Okay,
So that is
interesting.
definitely something that you can do if you wanted to look into that.
What I've been doing, because I am insane, is I love
Well,
my vet.
that
I
happens
love
after
my
you
vet.
have a kid.
Correct.
And
Yeah,
you had two.
true.
You
I
had,
did have
you had
two.
two of them.
Yeah,
So
correct.
Mhm.
I I love our vet. So I love our vet. I
Mhm.
love them so much. They're really great. So I worked with them to figure out exactly how many calories she should have a day. And now I count out like exactly how much soft food she should get each day. Because Milo loves his soft food. And so he gets like a little bit at breakfast, a little bit at lunch, a little bit at dinner.
Perfect.
And so then I calculated exactly like how many cans they both should really, because Milo's at like the perfect weight.
Sit and coast at a good.
Yeah, and
conditions for it.
I weigh them every day because I have the litter robot.
Okay.
And so it's like the automatic litter box, and it weighs them every time they get in it. And so that's
So
how
you
I'm
got a
like
little chart?
Yeah, I track them every day.
Is it on like an app, or do you have like a? Yes, I do want to see it.
I look at it every day to track Vixie's weight loss.
Because I see the litter robots all over social media. I'm like, is it really worth it?
I'm glad I have it now. Okay. Everyone told me I was crazy, but now I can track
everything.
So like this is their average weekly weight. Milo is like just at such a good weight all the time, and so like Vixie, she's hit an all-time low recently this week. She's hit 16.1, which is her new all-time low.
All right.
Because like obviously they're like us, their weight
fluctuate,
fluctuates.
yeah.
Yes. And so Milo stays around 12, like 11.9 to 12.1 or 2. And Vixie has been going down. Like a few weeks ago, her average was between like 16.5 to 17.2, and now it's 16.1 to 16.5. So we're slowly healthily, safely.
Fair.
Too much at once is, even for people, is not safe.
Absolutely.
And then it just kind of like tells me, oh, is there enough litter in there? When is it going to need to be changed out? Like, so I like
That's a really
it.
cool app.
Thank you. It gives
That's
me
really cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
Peace of mind. And then peace of mind goes a long way.
Shout out Litter Robot for giving that to me.
Absolutely. Peace of mind goes so
They
far.
really only gave it to me because I'm friends with Nathan, the cat lady.
That's fair.
They're great though.
But you have it, and now you got this wonderful app to track everything.
Literally.
Perfect.
Yeah, I love it. I love it so much. But I don't remember what I was saying. It's fine.
Fair.
But so like, what are some misconceptions that people might have about pet care, food that they might give to their pet, veterinary medicine, pets in general?
So one of the big misconceptions, we kind of briefly talked about like a nutritionist for your pet. A big misconception is there's like 6 million different nutritionists out there, but the ones that are the actual experts, they have a very specific title, and their title is a board certified veterinary nutritionist. It has to be those 4 words in that order. There are some veterinarians out there that are nutritionists, and they say, I'm a certified nutritionist and a board certified veterinarian. Not the same thing. There are also canine nutritionists out there, which are not what I would consider the experts. I'm actually a double certified canine nutritionist, and I don't consider myself a nutritional expert. I did it just to see what these programs were about. And the canine nutritional programs, the vast majority of them are unregulated. Anybody can make the program. There's no, you have to prove you know X, Y, and Z before you can call yourself a canine nutritionist. There's no like set standard stuff that they have to teach you or anything like that. There's no regulations in terms of like who can make these programs or anything like that. So it's a very unregulated field. And in the human side, there's a debate of dietitian versus nutritionist and all those, the same things going on here. But the people who are like actual experts, the people who are specialized, either have a PhD in animal nutrition or they're the board certified veterinary nutritionist. And the people with the PhD, they've gone to like an accredited program, they've gotten a master's, they've gotten a doctorate in just animal nutrition. And the people that are like, I'm like you can trust them. They had a structured program, won't just specify one species. Like any accredited program that will give you a legitimate credential, you are an animal nutritionist or something like that.
Okay.
Those are a little bit more trustworthy than like a canine nutritionist. Even though I'm a double certified one, it doesn't really mean anything. It's not super fancy or anything like that. I just took 2 online courses and paid money, and I got 2 pieces of paper that say, congratulations, you're a canine nutritionist.
Ew, I hate stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Now, that's not me saying that the people who are canine nutritionists don't know anything.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
They're not the experts
Exactly.
in the subject.
Like it's like people who try to, oh, I'm a person nutritionist, but they really have no qualifications, and like they might have done the research, but they also might not have.
Yes,
like
and they may have botched the research here.
Right, exactly. Like it's not a guarantee that they actually know what they're doing.
Yes, it's kind of like a wellness influencer where it's like the people that you see and they're like, broccoli contains this substance, which is also used in this substance that is detrimental to human health. Therefore, broccoli is unhealthy. And you're like, those were like, yeah, broccoli does have that substance, and that substance artificially is in that thing, but like you're making a connection that's not really there. Like broccoli is still healthy for you.
That's so weird.
But it's the shock and awe that get people to watch the video.
Like, oh my god, I have to cut out broccoli.
I ate broccoli. That's a big word I've never heard of. Like, oh my god, this is terrible. I'm dying because I'm eating broccoli. Like,
that's so. I hate that. I hate when people take advantage of that. That's so interesting. What are some other misconceptions that people might have in this field or in this industry or taking care of a pet?
I think it's hard to say that on the spot now.
That's okay.
So arthritic pain is another common misconception that people don't realize that this is really important for cats too. Like I feel a lot of dog owners start to realize, okay, we're limping, like there's probably something going on there. Or it could just be like a drop in appetite or a drop in activity. But with cats, it's much more difficult because they're very stoic creatures, and dogs are too. Like they're designed to not show weakness in the wild because then they get picked off and then they're left out. But with cats, like signs of arthritis can just be they're a little bit hesitant to jump up. Like if you ever see a cat, like a young cat, they look at something and like after they gauge the distance once, they just dart up. Like they jump up like 16 feet and they're just like, I'm good. But then as they get up there, when arthritis starts sitting on, they might kind of do like that little stutter step and then jump up. Sign of arthritis.
Oh, they just broke my heart. Oh,
yeah.
I've been making fun of Vixie for so long.
Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it is literally just, can I make it up? With her, especially being a bigger cat, can I get all of me up there to do it? So sometimes that plays into pet. But bigger cats are also more prone to arthritis, so that could be an early
That's why we're working on the diet plan. That's why we're doing the work. I bought so many pet stairs for my house.
But it works so good. And with cats, it's so difficult to get them to exercise because you don't want to do anything, or if you do, it's like for like 5 seconds and then you're done with the toy. It's like it was the greatest 5 seconds, but now you're done.
I have like this automatic little laser pointer thing. Milo loves it. Vixie will watch it, and I'm like, I got it for you.
Yep.
I asked Nathan, I said, should I get one of those little hamster wheels for cats? And he was like, she's not going to use it, Rebecca.
It's iffy if they do. For Odie, we use the laser pointer because he absolutely loves it. But the downside that I don't like as a vet, again, being a vet ruins literally everything as a pet owner. There's no physical reward with a laser pointer. So it's a little bit, it's not cruel in the sense of like, oh, it's animal cruelty, like you should be arrested, like your children should be stripped away from you, and like child protective services should come in. It's more or less just, there's no physical reward. So a lot of times they get it and then they're kind of like let down. Like, okay, I thought there was going to be a thing here and there's not a thing here. You can change that by like ending the laser pointer on a different toy that they physically touch and it's there with them, or giving them a treat after they like catch it or something like that. But the laser pointer itself doesn't have that physical reward to it. So I use it because Odie loves it, but I try to put some sort of physicality to it just so that there's a reward at the end of the tunnel.
Do you think that like cats are able to like understand that and like know what it is, like it's just a light? Because Milo asks me to turn it on every day, but he never gets anything out of it. So do you think he like understands that it's just a light?
I think they do understand that it's just a light. It's also hard to get like inside of their mind.
He just likes to run. Like he loves to run.
Yeah, so I do think they do know that it is just a light, especially like when they're there and it's not under their paw, it's on their paw. So I think they do kind of get that, this is just a light. It's not like an actual thing, but I'm still going to get it because I want that light.
Interesting. I know that, you do so many skits about things like horror stories that either you've experienced or other vets have
Yep.
experienced. Like, what are some that really stand out to you as a way of like, oh my gosh, this is what people either don't get about their pets, or like, this is how people are treating their pets? Like, what are some situations that have really stood out to you?
So one of the worst cases that stands out to me in terms of like owners didn't know we shouldn't do that was a little pit bull. She was probably about 9 months old,
Oh.
and the owner wanted to dock her ears because
What does that mean?
they wanted to cut the ears to make them look like a specific
Oh,
triangle point.
that's a thing?
It is. It's a very aesthetic thing. It does nothing for the ear. It's just some people want their pit bull's ears to look like that, so they look mean or they look tough or something like that. It's kind of the same thing as like
Ew.
tail docking. Most vets won't do it anymore. The person had one of my technicians ended up stalking him on Facebook because the story that he gave us, we just want to confirm with that. He had the surgery done by not a veterinarian. Yes. And when it came into me, the reason it came in is because there was pus coming out of the ears. So your ear is two different pieces of tissue, like one on one side, one on the other, and then there's cartilage on the inside. And when we dock it, we cut it, but then we have to close the skin back together. And the person that did the surgery, which the thing that scares me is they probably didn't have appropriate sedation or pain control or anything like that.
Right.
It looks like they just took a crappy pair of scissors, cut the ears, and then stapled the skin closed. But the staples weren't actually holding the skin closed. So the ears were necrosing off of the dog's head. The dog was also starting to go septic, meaning the infection in the ear was starting to take over the body. And the reason the owner did that was because he didn't want to pay for a veterinarian to do it. So he literally said on Facebook, he showed a picture of the dog. He said, can anybody do this cheaper than a vet can? And some random person said, yeah, DM me, I can do it. And then we followed that guy's Facebook page. And he's just like a backyard person that's just like, yeah, I can do whatever a vet can do.
I hate the backyard puppy mill things.
Yes. And I don't know what happened to the dog, but the dog, like, there's no way this dog survived that infection at 9 months because the owner didn't want to go to a vet to do something. So ear cropping, yes, it's called ear cropping, not ear docking.
That's so gross.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So-
All because she wanted this 9-month-old puppy to look meaner?
Yep. And didn't want to pay a vet to do it. So then it became a much bigger problem than it needed to be.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Poor baby.
So that was one of the ones that was like an owner. You really shouldn't, like, people messaging you on Facebook should not be doing surgical procedures on your pets at all.
No.
Like, there's a reason we have to have a license to do it. I've seen a lot of like neglect cases where like owners just, you're like, you should never again have a dog. One of the most recent ones happened a couple weeks ago. It was a really sweet husky, which find a husky that's quiet is a very rare thing. Like they just chat and
love to
howl and
yell.
scream. They absolutely do. But he was one of the sweetest huskies. He was like 4 years old, and animal control found the dog. And what ended up happening was they found the owner. The dog was emaciated, like a body condition score of 1 out of 9, just skin over bone. Like you could see every bone. They found the owner and they asked the owner, hey, did the dog look like this before it got out today? And she said, honestly, I don't know. The dog's been in the basement. I haven't seen it for the last 6 months. And it's like, why do you have a dog in that case? Like, just, but
oh
it,
my God.
but the hard part is like, there's not much I can do as the veterinarian. Like all my job is to take care of the health of the animal. Animal control is already involved. And it's like, I can't do anything other than be a witness if they want me to in those cases. So the hard part is in a lot of those animal neglect cases, all I can do is legally treat the dog and report it to people who it needs to go to, and then it's out of my hands.
So it like what do you do in those? Like, are there people who will remove an animal from someone's care? Like what does that look like?
So I don't know what exactly that looks like particularly because I'm not involved in that process. For this one, they removed it from the owner and then brought it to me. So they physically were like, they found the dog on the street, they scanned it, they found the microchip, found the owner, and then said, we're taking this dog into our custody, and then just brought it to my hospital to do a once-over and see what was going on. If we report something like animal abuse in those cases, the hard part is we very rarely can just keep the pet in the hospital. We can't do that. It's not unfortunately nowadays pets are property. So I can't keep your property for any reason. So all I can do is report it to the appropriate authorities. Then the state gets involved, and then they send out either a police officer or an animal control officer to like investigate everything. And then if they deem it's necessary, then they remove it. Now, in some cases, if it's like this is clear animal abuse, a lot of times we will elect to hospitalize the pet. That way it has to stay in the hospital for appropriate care until the authorities like have time to get things going
Right.
and stuff like that. But it's the authorities or animal control that actually do the investigation and remove stuff. And then if it goes to trial and they need a witness, a lot of times the intake veterinarian is the witness on stuff like that.
So then, is it animal control who you contact for that kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
So then, have you ever had to call animal control?
Personally, no, I have not.
Okay. Oh, thank God. That's
Yeah.
good. That's good.
Yeah.
And do you know anyone who has? Just out of curiosity.
In our clinic, yeah, we do it, not, I wouldn't say all the time, but like we do it a couple times a year. We're like, okay, this is like very clearly neglect and animal abuse. And then sometimes though the downside is it like gets lost to follow up because we're not involved at it at that point. Like the pet leaves the hospital and then everybody does what they need to do. And then we don't know what happened to it.
This really might be showing my crazy side.
Fair. For your 2 kids.
Not even my 2 kids.
Okay.
Not even my two fluff nuggets.
Okay.
Someone else's fluff nugget. I know someone who is very nonchalant about animals, which is, not everyone is a crazy cat mom like me, and that's okay. That's fine.
Well, maybe they adopted. They didn't give birth.
Right. Maybe
So
they not even like they just like don't see animals as super important.
Right.
And I remember, they had kids and they stumbled upon a kitten and they're like, oh, we have a kitten. Rebecca really loves cats. Like, do you want to come by and see it? And I was so excited. Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, of course I do. What
It's
do you
going to be
mean?
cute.
Who are you
Obviously, it's
talking
cute.
to?
Yeah.
Like, of course. And when I got there, I was just horrified. Because, like, first of all, this is a completely outdoor cat, which can be so dangerous. And that's something that we'll talk about in a second. But not only that, kittens have very strong claws. Very sharp claws.
Very sharp, and they love exploring with them.
And this grown man really thought, oh, look how cool this is. He would take the cat in his hand and toss it at a tree.
And let it...
because he just let it catch itself because he thought it was so cool. And I have never seen red like that in my life. And I just started screaming at him and yelling at him and angry crying at him. And
blacked out. And
I was like, this is so inappropriate and ridiculous. How dare you? Like, you are the worst kind of person. And they didn't like that.
They never do.
So I then contacted Mutuals and planned to catnap his cat.
How'd the operation go? Did Tom Cruise get
We
involved?
didn't get a chance.
Because we didn't have Tom Cruise involved.
We did not.
Damn.
And because this is an outdoor cat, it got hit by a car.
Yep.
And I remember the reason that I didn't go sooner was because, like, some of the people that I contacted were like, that's, like, crazy. And I'm like, no, crazy is throwing a cat at a tree.
Yeah, that's
the crazy part.
Yeah.
I will not hear anything else.
That is it. That's the
and
end
then
of
I
it.
actually let them, like, make me think for a second that, like, kidnapping this cat was a bad idea. And I hesitated too long. And I've never forgiven myself for that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm still so angry at myself. I totally should have kidnapped that cat.
Next time, get Tom Cruise involved. 'Cause
Oh,
then it's a
I'll just, like, dial Tom Cruise up.
The mission, I mean, if he doesn't care about cats, then, I mean, that's a detriment to him. I mean, that's his problem, not ours. But if he's involved, it's a successful mission.
It's a successful mission.
Successful mission
I
every
really
time.
need to call him up next time and tell him, like,
get his publicist
at
on the phone.
30,
Yeah.
we go in.
Publicist, hey, I need Tom's direct line, just real quick. Just
what are
a
your
hot second.
thoughts on keeping animals, cat or dog? Those are mostly the conventional pets.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on keeping them outdoors?
I don't like it,
Same,
especially
heard.
with cats. Dogs, I really don't think should be kept outside just because you're bringing them in, they're domesticated. You should not let your dog run wild and things like that. Cats, just because dogs are more into people, like they're more into people, like I'm going to find a group of people, I'm going to sit down with them. Cats are more standoffish, like when they're out and about and roaming and stuff like that. Like most of them hide. With cats, though, the detriment is they are not good for the ecosystem. Like they will hunt wild prey and they will change the populations of like normally their animals that may be keeping the ecosystem in balance, which if they get rid of like a natural population of birds that may make room for like the word's blanking, a non-natural, like a foreign
Invasive.
That's the word, an invasive species to come in. So I don't like cats being outside because they can really damage the ecosystem. They can also spread diseases, like not to say every
Right.
cat has a disease, but if they are like hunting mice or something like that, they can move mice from one area to the other and transmit, like if a mice has a specific disease, they can do that. If the cat gets a specific disease, they can spread that disease to other areas. If the cat has worms or something like that and they poop in another yard, they can then transfer worms to another cat and things like that. So there are diseases that can be transmitted, but for the ecosystem, I just don't like cats being outside. And then it also comes back to getting hit by a car and attacked by a coyote, which in the grand scheme of things, like normal feral cats, like that's just part of them being in the food chain, and it's just the reality of being an animal in the wild. So it's a little bit of a different way to look at
What
that.
if you like own a cat?
But yeah, like it is your personal cat. Like I would not want that. Like one of my fears is like we walk one of our cats, Biscotti, on a leash. Or one of my fears is like
So
like a
cute.
falcon coming down and like grabbing him. So I'm always like on high alert, like ready to
oh,
punch a falcon,
yes,
like if anything comes down.
Actually, yes.
So like that it's a fear of mine. So like I don't want to project that fear on people, but it is a fear to have. That said, though, there's some cats like you can't keep them indoors. They're like, I want to go outside. They claw at the door. They claw things. So like in some cats, it's like they start having behavioral issues until you let them out.
Interesting. I
In
didn't know that.
those cases, a catio is king, which is like it's a patio for your cat,
Yeah.
or a leash walk, just to get
Interesting.
them that outside time, because at least then they're contained a little bit.
Neither of my cats would survive in the wild.
Neither would ours.
Um,
Too cute.
Vixie would totally run up to a predator and ask for belly rubs.
Yep.
And Milo,
They would get belly rubs, just really deep.
Yeah,
belly
he
rubs.
would not enjoy
Really
it.
deep
And
belly
I
rubs.
also know like there's some people out there who don't like cats, like really hate cats.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want her to walk up to the wrong person because she would absolutely let them pick her up and take her away. Milo yells when he runs. He did
Just, I'm coming. You know where I'm at. I'm coming.
It's just like he's so
Full
quick.
force.
He's fast. Like he'll run, but he yells when he runs. He would be so hungry, and he also like is scared of everything.
Yeah.
He would never leave my bed. There's just no way.
Fair.
Like the fire alarm and the smoke detector will go off and he runs to my lap to like cover his ears.
Safety.
That's my baby.
Yeah.
I do have a story about my aunt's cat. This is like the most BA cat, the most OG cat ever. So my aunt lives in South Louisiana.
Okay.
And they have a camp down the bayou. And there are awful human beings in this world who this like gives me so much anxiety even to just say it out loud. There are awful disgusting human beings that use kittens and puppies as gator bait.
Yes.
And it's disgusting. And my aunt and her husband stumbled upon some kittens who were clearly used as gator bait, and they saw that one was alive clinging to the bodies of his siblings.
Fallen comrades.
And they found this little boy, and they were like, "Oh, we're taking him home. This is ours now." And they named him Coco because they found him down a cocoa tree. And Coco, he's so like he's not fat. He's big.
But he's a big bone.
He's so big, and I always say it's because he wrestles with gators.
Yeah.
He is a wrestling with gator boy, and when
they breed him big down south.
When he plays, like he will rip your arm apart. I'm like, it's because he plays with gators.
He's used to them scales. Yep.
And so when she moved in, when she and her husband like got married and she moved in, because they found him before they got married.
Fair.
When she moved in with her husband, there
was he a cat person too?
Oh yeah, of course. She wouldn't have married her.
Well,
she gotta bring Coco.
I mean, sometimes you're not like I was not a cat person until I met my wife's cats, and then I woke up.
Oh, okay.
Like I woke up with 3 of them on me, and I was like, "This isn't so bad," other than the fact that I'm roasting hot right now. And then I became
it's
a
like,
cat person.
this is nice.
Yeah.
Everyone who's like not a cat person just has not snuggled with one. I stand by, or they're bad with boundaries. But that's a later. That's a later discussion.
Yes.
But so one day, Coco's one of those cats that like needs to be outside at least sometimes. And one day Coco just didn't come home. And they had like on the news like, hey, lots of birds of prey have been seen in the area. Game warden's just letting everybody know, like multiple large birds of prey have been seen. And my aunt got really nervous. And she just got so concerned. Oh my gosh, what if this
Coco
bird got Coco.
Should be all right. She
And
wrestles gators.
That's
Like
what
she
I
wrestles
said.
gators.
That's
Like
what I. When my mom
boom.
told me, I was like, that cat wrestles gators.
Yeah.
That cat would take
Like,
down
yeah.
any bird.
like
What do you
none, like
mean?
double or nothing. That cat is
Right.
coming out victorious
But
every
then,
time.
like, days went by and Coco never came home, and then it was like, oh, what? And she became very, very posting on Facebook, looking around, like went out searching, could not find this cat. And then one day, somebody contacted her husband. I think your cat is under my mom's house. And they looked, and this house was far away. No way this cat would have been able to get there on his own, right? Like, so far away. But lo and behold, like, they look, and that was Coco. That was absolutely. And so what ended up happening was his housekeeper, I guess, I had a truck, and Coco climbed into the bed of the truck. And she had no idea. So when she went home, Coco was in the bed of the truck. He got scared because it's like a moving vehicle, and he just kind of laid down. And when it stopped, he got out and just found shelter. Yeah. And so he went over. He tried to get Coco out of the bottom of the house, and he was not moving. He was not interested.
This is my safety spot.
He was not interested.
Yep.
They tried for like a couple hours. They could not get him out. So they called Jen. They called my aunt. Yep. And they're like, hey, I think we found him, but we can't get him out. And so she left work, and she just drove over as soon as she got out and just, Coco!
Right there. Mom!
He doesn't really go outside anymore.
Yep. He doesn't want to anymore. No. Yeah.
He gotta stays in that house, and he's like, I'm staying, and I'm never leaving again.
Never going out of his house.
The moment he heard her voice, he was like, and that every time I hear that story, I'm like, that would be Milo. Yep. In an instant. Absolutely. 1000%. Yep. And I was like, I told you no bird could take down that cat.
I know. Like,
I told you no bird.
How many gators like died in the process of him getting to that home?
Like, that is Wolver
just
cat.
follow the trail of corpses of alligators, and you'll find them. There's Coco.
Like that. There's no way. This is wrestles with gators cat.
You can't, like, that's the end of the
That's what I said. I'm like, there's no way he goes out like this. Yeah, that's not the way.
That's a punk move to go out like that. That's not going to be a hawk that gets me.
I never believed it. I never accepted that.
And there it is. There it is, though.
But can you think of any other stories of animals that really just stuck out to you as, like, either something that was just either wonderful or awful? Like, no matter what, just something that really stuck to you.
I think so. I'll give you two.
Okay, I'm ready.
The wonderful one from my clinic, the WeatherTech company.
Yes.
So a couple of years ago, they ran a Super Bowl ad for their dog Scout, who had a tumor on his heart that was bleeding around the heart. And they ended up taking him to the University of Wisconsin, where he got like really advanced care and everything like that. And he lived like another year after that, which is extremely impressive because dogs with that usually pass away within like a matter of weeks. When he first became clinical for the tumor that they had no idea was there, they brought him to our clinic. We stabilized him. We kind of saved his life, and then eventually sent him over to Wisconsin because we have surgeons at our place. We don't have a cardiologist. They have surgeons, cardiologists, and oncologists. So it's kind of they had everything that the dog needed in one roof. So we sent him over there, and he got an extra year, and it was really incredible to see what could happen in just like very bad situation. Stabilized him, sent him somewhere else, and he got an extra year. It's not a lot of time, but it's still impressive because he could have passed away like that night.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those like really good, but it kind of had a little bit of a poor ending one.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of dogs that have had really bad wounds on their face. Like one of them, we think it got its collar caught on a car and dragged all of the skin on one side of the face off down to the bone. We did a tilapia graft on him, and after 12 months, he now has a normal face, and he's a happy little pit bull in a happy home. So that was a really, really good, positive experience. We see stuff like that quite a lot at my facility because we're a specialty hospital. From a bad thing, I think the worst case that I've ever seen come into me alive was a 19-year-old dog that got attacked by a coyote. And the reason it was so bad, he had 2 broken legs. He had penetrating belly wound, which means he had teeth marks that went from the outside directly to the inside of his belly, which is like we got to go to surgery quickly type of thing. He had a flail chest, which means he had a couple of ribs that were broken in 2 spots. So when he breathed out, this little patch of skin went down instead of up. And then when he breathed in, it went down instead of up. And then when he breathed out, it kind of reversed. And then in looking at his wounds, when I peeled back the skin, I could physically see his heart with my naked eye.
Oh.
He was alive. He ended up passing away in an effort to get him to surgery. He was not stable enough, but like it was one of those situations where like the owners were stuck between a rock and a hard place. Like we either have to risk his life to get him to surgery to save his life, or this is our stopping point. The reason that one was so horrible is, and it's a fear for me, and I don't mean to make this a fear for everybody else. The owners let him out in the backyard and saw the coyote grab him through the fence and take him into a forest preserve. The owners did exactly what I probably would have done in the situation. They hopped over the fence and ran after it. Then it dragged him through a second fence to get into the forest preserve. So the owners climbed over a barbed wire fence until they eventually got their dog and rushed him in.
That would have been me.
Like, I was saying, there's been very few times in my career that I was like, I don't know what to say to this. Like, I don't know how to process that. That, like, the actual dog itself, like I've dealt with stuff like that. I just kind of went into autopilot mode and like stabilized it. But like hearing that story, I was speechless for the third time in my career. It was like, I can't imagine how I would feel just watching that whole process.
Oh my gosh.
And that was one of the worst things I've ever seen.
That 100% would have been me. Like, oh my God, I don't care what it is.
I'm tearing
That's my baby.
I'm getting over that barbed wire fence.
My baby.
I'm punching that coyote in the face.
Oh my God. Literally, that coyote would not know what hit them. They're like, I'm never going after this lady's babies ever again.
You think Coco wrestling gators is bad? Mama Bear is coming at you. We're going for it.
Literally, oh my gosh, the poor thing.
Yeah.
That's bad, but it's so heartwarming. Wait, remind me, did that dog survive?
No. We were getting ready to take him to surgery, and then I knew this was going to happen. I warned the owners, I think, because in order to take him to surgery, they have to be under anesthesia while we're messing around in their chest. We have to give them a sedative to be able to put the tube in them to breathe.
Yeah.
And I told the owners that your dog is so bad. I think the moment we push the sedative to get the tube in him to breathe for him, I think he's going to pass away. And that's exactly what happened. And then they said, you know what, if
it's worth it,
he's not going to survive it at this point, and they stopped. So it was a tragic ending, as most of the critical care cases do.
But they did everything that they could. There was nothing else.
They really
did.
They were getting ready to take him to a double cavity surgery, which is an extremely invasive thing to do, and not many people will pursue it. They were all in for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I was pulling for him. I was like, this isn't going to work. But I was like, in my mind, I was like, I just come out of surgery. Like, I want this to be heartwarming.
I want this to work so
But
bad.
like the logical part of me was like, it's not going to happen. But then it's like that fine line of like, I have to be logical with the owners, but in my mind, I'm like, come on.
Bad.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so devastating. I can't even imagine. Like, I just can't even imagine that.
It's rough.
But can you think of anything else that stands out to you, or any other misconceptions that people might have about veterinary medicine or animals? And if not, some last words or ideas that you want to share about animals or your job?
I don't know if there's any other misconceptions.
Okay.
Thoughts over there?
What a queen. What a queen. We love the wife.
I was just thinking, like your ER, like you specifically you work ER, so like you were talking about like wait times and like, I don't know, like it's just mainly about like veterinary medicine profession in general.
Yeah. So I think a way to say like a misconception is I think a lot of owners don't know how veterinary medicine operates.
Okay.
And they come in expecting one thing, and then when their expectation is not met, even if it's a completely unrealistic expectation, automatically it's our fault as the veterinary hospital. And this goes for like ER clinics, which I work at, or like a family veterinarian. With ERs, this is a really big thing in terms of like wait time. Like owners will call us and they'll say, hey, what's your wait time at right now? And honestly, if you get an ER that says our wait time's 2 hours or less, like take it. Like that's golden. Like it's very rare for us to be like, oh yeah, we don't have like it's a 20-minute wait. It's not really a thing. During COVID, we were at like 8, 12-hour waits, just like a human ER. Like there's extensive wait times. But when owners hear that, they automatically think you don't care about their pet. And they're like, well, what if my pet's dying? And then I would be like, well, then you're going to have a really hard conversation and you might be having a really, really bad day. So let's hope that's not happening. And you have to do the wait time. So a lot of people have these unrealistic expectations, or they think like they come in and you do your exam on your pet because something's wrong, and they think, well, you know what's going on based on the exam. And it's like 90% of the time, the physical exam is not going to tell me what actually is going on with your pet. If your pet has kidney disease or liver issues or things like that, like I can get indications on an exam that, okay, I suspect this is kidney disease, but I still have to do a blood panel to diagnose it in order to say, okay, we really do need to start treating this right now. But so many people come in and think, well, I've paid you to do my exam. You did the exam. Why can't you tell me what's wrong with my pet? And it's like, unfortunately, medicine doesn't work that way. If I feel a foreign body obstruction, yes, I can tell you it's there, but I still need to take x-rays to diagnose it before I say we have to risk surgery to go in and get that thing. So a very big misconception is we know what's going on based on the exam, which doesn't happen. And then to kind of piggyback off of that, a lot of people also think, especially being on social media, there's a big thing that I get. My DMs are just filled of people like, my kitten's got this, what's going on with it? And it's like, legally, I can't tell you.
Right.
Like there has to be a relationship established, which means you have to bring your pet to me, and legally, I physically have to touch the animal. And then based on the law, I can then start giving you advice. And it's like, I can't do telemedicine. There are companies that are allowed to do that, but like me, random Joe Schmo vet, can't do that. But then people get angry when you're like, you got to bring your pet to the vet, and they're like, you just, why can't you tell me what's going on? It's like, well,
that's not
legally.
how that
I have
works.
to shut up. Like I can't, because if I tell you the wrong thing, you can then
sue me.
Yes, and I'm not taking that risk.
Yeah, no.
Or like I'll get DMs at like 2 o'clock in the morning where people are like, help, my kitten's dying. What do I do? I'm like, take it to a vet. Like,
I'm sleeping right now.
What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Like burst out medications on the internet? You're like, no, you go to a vet, please. Like, don't come to me at 2 o'clock in the morning when I'm not gonna read this until like 10 o'clock tomorrow.
That's
if you're
crazy. DMing somebody
yes.
at 2 in the morning.
All the time. Like most of my DMs are pictures of animals and what's going on with my dog or cat. And it's like
I don't know.
I kind of do know, but I can't tell you what it is because you got to go to the vet. You need to legally. I cannot divulge any direct medical advice to you other than go to the vet.
I feel no, that makes sense.
And it is hard because like I want to help, but at the same time, like
you can't take the risk.
I need yes.
Yeah, because there's always going to be people out there that are, well, you said, well, okay,
yes.
Okay, but I didn't even get to put hands on your animal, or like there could be another completely underlying issue that I wasn't aware of, and like you can't risk your license and your job and your livelihood. Like
and even like with close friends, I still don't do that. Like most of my close friends are also veterinarians, so it's like I don't have to do that. But like the ones that aren't vets, like it is very rare that they're like, this is going on with my dog. And I'm like, it's probably this, but I still tell them you should probably see a vet.
Yeah.
Like maybe my immediate family I'll do that for. Like if my mom sends me, I'm not going to be like, no, mom, like you got to bring the dog in. Like, I'll give her advice that way. But like really close friends, even then I'm like, like you should just
because if something happens, like
it's
those
on
are their
me.
babies.
Yeah, like take it to the vet. Just please take it to the vet.
That
like,
makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
Thank you for having me.
I learned so many things. Like I think this is really good. This is important. And I honestly, like when I come back to Chicago, we might even do like a part 2 because I love talking about animals.
I could go for hours.
Animals are always better than people.
Yes.
I stand by that.
1,000%. Say like this first step to being a veterinarian. So now that you're not a teacher, if you want a second career,
I'm not
think
a
about it.
math person.
Okay, then no.
Yeah, I'm not a science and math person.
Math is a hard thing.
But people do tell me I'm a psychopath because I value I think animals are better than people, and I'm like, then I'm a psychopath. That's fine.
Full open to that diagnosis.
I'm okay.
I
don't care.
Yep.
I'll be a psychopath with my babies that I birthed.
It's
fine.
With every other veterinarian, you'll be a psychopath.
Exactly.
We're all the same.
And our friend Nathan.
And Nathan.
We will all be psychos
together in Hawaii with the cat sanctuary.
Yes, more people need those for sure. But thank you so much for hanging out with me. I value this so much, and thank you guys for hanging out with us. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see y'all next week. Bye, my lovely.
Bye, guys.